What is up, everybody? It's your boy Choppadong here with Raz GPT sitting down below. Monday afternoon, MLB Live Lock show where we're going to talk starting pitching, locks, cores on the slate, a little bit of weather, a little bit of strategy, and all that good stuff. But before we dive into that stuff, while you guys are piling into the chat room, first, thanks for joining us. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button, all that good stuff. Read the banner as it scrolls across the bottom and join dfsarmy.com. Razzle I asked him, Razzle, do you have softball today? He usually does on Mondays. He said, no, he's retiring. So that begs the question, are you retiring for tonight, for the season, or forever?
Forever.
Forever.
Time to hang it up.
You ain't that old.
I mean, I'm 43 with a body that's going on 75. I've
51.
done enough damage.
I'm 51. I'm in my prime.
I have no knees left. I have no ankle. I just have nothing. I've achieved plenty as it is. So I have no worries, or I'm content. Really, put it out there on the Facebook world.
When you've got time served, you get team pension. You qualified for that, right?
Yeah, definitely.
See, I mean, I don't even care if that's just beer for life. If you qualify for the team pension, you're good. When are you going to become an umpire, DePrince says.
Never.
Go Blue!
I mean, I really just put it out there on Facebook to thank everybody for 38 years of a ball diamond. Teammates, everybody. Because it's impossible to tag everybody from 38 years of grinding away on a baseball or softball field. So a lot of comments, a lot of things, a lot of emotions over the weekend. My daughter saw me cry for the first time. She's going to be 10. So,
I get it.
It's kind of the end of a chapter, and now we try to find the next chapter, whatever that is.
Coaching.
It could be.
I mean, if you can't go into the announcing booth, it's got to be coaching.
Yeah, it's finding the spot in coaching, the age level that fits.
For sure.
But I can't go super young. I coached high school baseball many years ago, kind of when I was in a limbo spot for my baseball career, etc. So I don't know if I can do the high school kids again, but somewhere in the middle, maybe.
Could you do select camps or something like that are a little bit more serious, even if they're younger kids?
Yeah, I'd have to look into the possibilities around this area for sure, but I don't know. We have time to figure that out. Not in any hurry to replace it. I have 8 months to figure it out.
Well, for what it's worth, end of a chapter like that, there's always a grieving period. So take your time, drink a beer or two, and open your ears. I'm sure something will guide you to where you want to go. So,
yeah, I mean, bowling. I've gotten back into bowling over the last couple of years. It's enjoyable. Knees and shoulder issues from playing ball makes it a little tough, but I don't mind bowling once a week. I just don't know that I can get to be as competitive bowling as I was.
Right.
On a ball.
My knees get in the way of my follow through when I bowl, man. I'm liable to bust a knee bowling before softball because I'll just freaking hit that thing with the ball as it swings through. It hurts. Oh, it hurts.
Yeah, I figured I'd bounce the ball off my ankle at some point, but not yet.
It hurts.
Yeah, I don't know. Fishing's going to be on the list. Maybe some more golf.
There we go.
I don't know.
Yeah. There we go. You got the old man hobbies kicking now. A little bit more poker. A little more poker, maybe. You get a competitive outlet there. Chuck mentioned his bad weekend. It's time to right the ship. I totally agree with you on all fronts. Then he asked about Strider. He said, given how much he's been getting hits and runs with the White Sox, be a solid pivot option. Let's save that for the show, and let's kind of dive in. Make sure I scan through a lot of these. Yeah, a lot of comments there. That's pretty cool, man. You got more comments in that little intro for retiring from softball than we've gotten in any DFS comments that we've talked about in the past week or two. So right on. #win. Let's go, Harlock. There is Coors on the slate, but I'm going to dive in weather. Weather station's closed for the week. I guess Joey is on vacation or something. But really the only trouble spot looks like it's Wrigley. And 50-50 chances of rain, 60% chances of rain as it tapers off through the night. I don't know if that's heating of the day or if it's a little weather system passing through. I know here in the Midwest, next couple of days, we're supposed to cool off down here in St. Louis. I don't know if you've cooled off yet up where you are, but if so, Chicago might be in the middle of it. It might actually be a cold front and some sustained showers. So I would watch that game with one eye open. But I don't think there's any other trouble spots unless you saw any.
No, that's the only one. Definitely cooled off up here. It's been raining all day. So, I mean, they played game 1 in Chicago. So, not sure. We'll see if they make it through game 2 or get it to start on time. We'll have to look at timing. It wasn't raining as that game just ended, 15 minutes ago or so. So we will see. But yeah, that's the only one to worry about.
Then what I will do real quick here is I will call up my handy dandy radar. I'm going to also call up the DS, and we're going to do a little FanDuel chalk pitching search here quickly while I'm waiting for my radar to populate. And it looks like it's Spencer Strider or bust against those White Sox on FanDuel. And being that the next drop down, those numbers have adjusted just in the past 20 minutes. It was like Strider was 25-26%, and Nestor Cortez was like 12%. Nestor's getting some ownership, coming up to 18-19%, so he's actually pretty close to Strider now. I would imagine that means those are the two chalk guys on DraftKings, but to double check that really quick, and then we'll get you out for your pivots and such, because I just have a funny feeling today that's where things are going to go. So let's scroll down. Take the old peek here at the ownership, cut to the pitchers, and there's Cortez and Strider, bada bing, bada boom, just like we were predicting. A little bit of Yamamoto out there in Coors, and then Singer, May, Gavin Williams, Robbie Ray, some people like that look like pretty obvious tournament pivots. But as always, we lean on the Carnage Report here and Razzle to guide us through. First of all, do you disagree with any of that chalk? And second of all, who are your favorite tournament plays on the slate tonight?
I mean, I disagree with the ridiculous Nestor Cortez chalk.
It's fair.
I get his ownership's driven by the fact that he's going to help people get the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm using Nestor Cortez, but there's no way in hell I am playing 34% of him on DraftKings. I'm probably playing like a third of that. Spencer Strider, I am going to say is good chalk, and I think a lot of people are going to be shocked considering he hasn't been very good. And they're going to mention the White Sox in the second half, which I get. But over the last week, the White Sox have a team ISO of 0.87, I think. And Strider still has a ceiling. It's not like he's just been limited to, 20, 21 points as a top performance. He still has 30 plus. It's just he's far more inconsistent than he was pre-Tommy John. So I'm all for Spencer Strider. I'm not going to go massively overweight because I want to shift some ownership into guys like Dustin May, Gavin Williams, Brady Singer, and even Yamamoto. My favorite pivot from like Strider and Yamamoto actually is Trevor Rogers. Less than 8% owned right now on DK at 9K, but he's been absolutely phenomenal. And I think it's a decent matchup for him. He's already shut down this Boston lineup once. So he's the guy that I am going to be probably triple the field on.
Triple.
Approximately, I have a min percentage set at 20%. So
that's strong. That's a stance. If I look at the Carnage report here, the K upside looks like it's on Dustin May. I don't know why necessarily. Haven't dug that deep into these guys. Yamamoto potentially. Singer. I don't know. I don't know how much of that I trust on that stuff. I can see Rogers with the low ISO, but I don't know how many of these guys are going to go for potentially 8 to 10 strikeouts. Do you? Do you see it?
I mean, like Yamamoto and Singer make sense because Colorado and the Angels strike out the most in baseball, like easily the most. Dustin May faced a Baltimore lineup that looks pretty weak overall. And some of that is also he went out and dominated Houston last time out to show, kind of remind people what his ability is. I actually wouldn't be shocked if Dustin May finishes the season super strong now that he's away from the Dodgers and, the LA media and everything. He's just kind of let to go out there and pitch. So, I mean, I'm obviously going overweight on Dustin May. I thought today when I woke up that Singer was going to be my highest owned pitcher. He's not, but he's kind of in the middle. I think Walker's going overlooked a bit in a matchup with Texas. He's just one of those guys that I think could put up 20 to 24 and be the SP2 on this slate.
I was going to say that's as an SP2.
Yeah. Sprinkle him in with Rogers, Robbie Ray, Strider, Yamamoto, Dustin May. Like, there's guys that I do think there's going to be a couple of combinations that get, 48 to 55 DK points. Two guys that I'm using, or one guy that I'm using that I don't think many people are going to use is Yoendrys Gomez. I saw the recent update to 8% on DK. I would bet that the field is under that. Mostly been a reliever at the major league level, but mostly a starter in the minors. Biggest issue I have with him is he has thrown into the sixth inning just twice since 2019. Spent some time looking at some of his minor league starts just to get an idea of what kind of ceiling he could have. It's a volatile spot, but he's somebody that strong K numbers in the minors as well. So I'm using him, and then I'm going super heavy on Gavin Williams. Gavin Williams is probably the most extreme reverse splits pitcher in baseball at this point. I think he's holding left-handed bats to an average of 140-something with a slugging of 280 to 290. I don't remember the exact numbers. And I think the Arizona lineup just dropped a few minutes ago. And he's going to be facing 6 left-handed bats. Side of the plate, which he's absolutely dominated. Now, obviously, 2 of those left-handed bats are Ketel Marte and Corbin Carroll. Extreme matchups, but still, Gavin Williams has done it against difficult opponents already. The one worry that I did talk about this morning on the video is the fact that 2 starts ago we did pitch into the 9th inning and throw 126 pitches. Usually when a pitcher makes that big jump chasing a no-hitter, it takes a handful of starts for them to kind of even back out. And he did struggle his last time out, but still, if we trust the numbers matchup-wise, like he can dominate left-hand heavy lineups. So Gavin Williams is a guy that I am heavy on.
Well, the thing I don't like is all of this NA stuff down here at the bottom on the Carnage report, because it feels like a third of the pitchers we don't have any real data on. So we'd have to go digging in other sources, of course.
Well, I mean, there should be – well, Nestor hasn't missed much of the season. There's previous year data. Chad Patrick has data from the first half of the season. Jameson Taillon should have data from the first half of the season. He's just coming off the IL. So I don't know where the hang-up is for that.
Right. Me either.
But like Gomez has only made 1 start at the major league level this year. Medeiros 1 start, maybe 2.
And that would all be small sample stuff, of course, but I'm sure that the other guys, the names you recognize, would be guys that are in Research Station, or they're in Baseball Reference or MLB.com or whatever people want to look to, and that's fine. It's just a little bit of a bummer when I'm trying to glance, and this is pretty rare for Carnage Report to be missing that many people. But then the next thing you pop on is Kyle Freeland with the Dodgers facing him, and that's a pretty green light spot. So I'm gonna pivot over to some leverage stacks here and see where we don't go with some of the ownership, because the Dodgers are just the absolute obvious chalk. And, sometimes you've got to eat that stuff in course. We'll just address the elephant in the room. Is there any reason you would fade Dodgers tonight in, well, not cash, but in smaller 1-3 max, even 20 max lineups? And how much of them would you intentionally avoid in like a 150 max? It's not going to be a lot, is it?
No, I mean, like if you're playing single entry and 3 max, like I think you can just fade them, like, and play that game. But your MMEing, like, there still should be your highest owned stack.
Right.
I just don't see it. Like, I mean, yes, there are things where first game in Coors, I get it. I mentioned it this morning, slight hangover effect could be because they're coming off of a 3-game sweep of San Diego right after San Diego overtook them for the division lead. So there's kind of a letdown spot maybe going into Coors, but still just based purely on the numbers and matchup wise, like the spot is just far and away the best on this slate.
Now, you're going to eventually be a softball coach. Let's just call a spade a spade. This is a spot, if you're the LA manager, where I would think that you got to get in that locker room and remind these guys that this is actually an opportunity to step on the gas, let's just go sweep the fucking Rockies right out of Coors as well. And let's put the pressure right back on San Diego. You got a golden opportunity right now where San Diego could be reacting the opposite way too, kind of a little bit of, oh crap, we let the lead slip away. This is time to step on the throat, right?
Yeah, it's just sometimes professional athletes don't.
Oh, I know. You can only do so much.
Don't lean into those words, like.
But I think you'd at least try as the manager to push that narrative.
Words on younger people, younger players, can have more of an effect than guys that are veterans. Now, veterans like the Dodgers do kind of know what they need to do because they've been there and done that. So maybe there isn't that big of a hangover. It's just we've seen it in the past after big Dodgers-Padres series. Like, we've seen both teams kind of struggle a little bit just because, like, there's a lot that goes back and forth between those two teams. Now, I would think since the Dodgers have been struggling for a little bit, that I think the Dodgers probably come out in this series and rival what Toronto did
I hope so.
A couple weeks ago and just put up runs and hits and dominate. But obviously all it takes is just one hangover game, and that changes the narrative of the series.
For sure. And it would be that if you only score 2 runs against Kyle Freeland or something like that, with the talent disparage that there is tonight, discrepancy, whatever the word is, talent gap. Who knows? We'll see. Like you said, I mean, coaches don't swing the bat, but I figured I would use that opportunity to coach you up in your future coaching career so that you don't miss a cherry picking spot like that, because that one's an obvious one.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just doing it for fun. I'm going to assume they're in tier 1. I mean, we'll just knock that out right now.
Yeah, they are in tier 1.
Yeah, they got to be in tier 1. Like, I mean, I don't even know what we're doing here if they're not. But that leaves up to everybody else. Should you trust May since the Carnage Report does? I mean, I would say for GPPs and stuff, sure. Do we like Baltimore today? We're going to get into that. Cordero, thanks for tuning in, buddy. We're going to get to that here in the stacks that we're getting ready to go for. Good evening, Schmad. You know what, Schmad? DM me with a update on the family. I appreciate that. I always like to pay attention to you guys. Baltimore could be a little sleepy. Lucky Pope. You guys, man, we're getting some people in here making some comments finally. That's a good thing. I'm seeing some names that are not always in the comments chiming in. So that's good. 3 money lines right now that are locks. No Dodgers, no Braves. I don't know. That's not the main focus of the show. We might toss that in at the end. But we've got what? How many tier 2 teams? 2 tier 1 teams? How many tier 2 teams?
3 tier 2 teams.
3 tier 2 teams and a decent sized slate. So that'll give us something to work off of. Who wants to toss out the first? Who wants to try and pick off that other tier 1 team? I mean, I got the easy one. I'm the host. I got the cheat sheets right here. So I should have a leg up on the answers. But if y'all couldn't have picked the Dodgers out of that one, then I don't even know what we're doing here. We need to do these shows 2 and 3 times a day if that's the case. Highest stacked on DK right now is going to be the Dodgers. They're the highest IRT. They're also the number 1 leverage team because it's hard to get them full 5-man stacks. But 125%. Everybody else drops down here to 62%. So Cincinnati looks like they're about next. Maybe some Texas, some Atlanta in terms of ownership. But your guess is as good as mine as to where Razzle's going to go. But if you go by implied run total, Atlanta's also over a 6. God, 8.2 for LA. That's crazy. But over a 6 for Atlanta, you're over a 5 for Cincinnati, Kansas City. Chicago's a 5 at Wrigley. That's weather report. Oh, by the way, I said I would look at the weather radar. Looks like anytime after about 5 o'clock, so the next 10 minutes or so, looks like north side of Chicago might have a line of storms rolling through it. So what that amounts to, I don't know. It looks like it grows and expands a little bit. I don't know if that means it's going to just sit and park it over the city or if it's going to move through. I'm not a weatherman by trade, but I do pretend to be one on TV sometimes. And I just didn't look deep or spend a bunch of time diving in. But, you've got others. Arizona was mentioned, Milwaukee, San Diego, Boston, whatever. We'll see where Razzle goes. See if who's got. Well, let's do Boston. Everybody seems to like Baltimore. Sorry, let's do Baltimore. People seem to like that one.
Baltimore is a tier 3 team.
Tier 3. So honorable mention. Dirty Braves. Chattahoochee Chief wants to know if the Braves are going to eat.
The Braves are a tier 2 team.
Tier 2, good call. Good call there. Oh, highest stack on FanDuel. Sorry, Pope. Let me get that for you while Razzle talks here.
I mean, the highest on stack is going to be the Dodgers. I already looked. It's even more so. The Dodgers are even chalkier on FanDuel.
For sure.
Because pricing just isn't as difficult to deal with over there.
Yep. I want to share the screen really quick, though. The number of the IRT, again, the same way. Atlanta, Kansas City, Cincinnati, Chicago. The order is roughly the same. I mean, maybe it changes in the bottom half, but the top half is all pretty much the same. And the ownerships aren't shifting around a bunch. It drops off from the 160 way down into the 40s and 50s, just like it did on DK. So I'm going to say, for all intents and purposes tonight, the 2 sites are pretty much the same offensively speaking. Now, price discrepancy wise, that's where we use Razzle. Razzle can include some of that stuff once we pick off some of these teams. Then I'd like to talk a little contest selection, like we were talking in Discord. Carry that conversation out here. Ask Razzle for his thoughts, and then probably cut it off tonight. We don't have a lot to dive through, so let's see. A quick check again in terms of Royals. Harlock says Kansas City. Where is Kansas City tonight?
Kansas City is tier 2.
Tier 2 for KC. And yes, to Thomas, I mean, we should be trying to stack those Dodgers if you can. If you got Williams in May, as your pitchers and you're finding it hard to stack, that's fair. That means you're going to have to get a little creative probably with some of the pitching. And I know that's not super expensive pitching, but you might have to use the bottom of the order. You might have to use some form of a wrap. You might have to do a couple of creative things, maybe. And I hate to say this, and Razzle's going to punch me through the screen, but you may drop from a 5-man to a 4-man stack to get as many bats in there as you can to load up on it, instead of just saving the Dodgers for your 2-man mini stack. If you want to get 3 or 4 bats, you're just going to have to change the overall formation. Or use Kansas City as a 5-man stack and get 3. Go 5x3 instead of 5x2 and get 3 Dodgers in there that way. There's ways to do it, and the numbers and everything are indicating that we should at least try to do what we can and hope it pans out. Detroit and Philly and San Diego. Well, let's use those were the money lines, I'm sure. Cortez be a value pitcher on DK? Let me dive into DraftKings again, reorganize the IRTs, and we said Atlanta was tier 2, Kansas City tier 3. Let's do Cincinnati. Is Cincinnati tier 1 or 2?
Cincinnati is tier 1.
Tier 1, that's the other one. How about that? My ass is going to get a sunburn. Sun shined right on this dog's ass on that one. How are we going to round out tier 2? We got one more team to pick off. I'm going to let you all decide if it's the Cubs, Angels, D-backs, or Milwaukee. And Razzle will stop me at some point if I didn't even mention it yet. All right, might as well toss it out. Say it. What's up?
I said right now I'm trying to figure out why the Dodgers do not have Will Smith in the lineup and why the Reds do not have Miguel Andujar.
So are the lineups confirmed?
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Who's the other tier 2 team? Is it just to round out the game? Is it the Cubs?
It is not the Cubs.
Angels?
It is the Angels.
It is the Angels. That's the old boomer bust. So for all of you guys paying attention out there, both LA teams made tier 1 and tier 2. Cincinnati in tier 1. Atlanta and KC in tier 2. That's how that one worked. What else do you see tonight? What else do you see that could be sneaky? What else do you see that would help somebody maybe get more Dodgers? If you want to piggyback onto what I just said and maybe help people get in there a little bit deeper and take advantage of that spot.
Now Dalton Rushing being in over Will Smith helps. It's what, $2,500 difference? Yeah, on DK. Miguel Rojas, cheap with BVP in his favor at $3,600. Another cheaper version or cheaper way to get exposure to the Dodgers. There's ways to do it. Obviously, Cortez and May going to be super chalky combination for that. So find a way to be different. I'm adjusting one right now, get Rushing in over Will Smith, that it doesn't have Ohtani, and it's paying up for bets in that stack, which I think will be slightly different. And now I have enough money that I could upgrade either May or Cortez. Could make Nestor into Yamamoto. I could make Dustin May into Robbie Ray or Yamamoto. So I'm gonna upgrade that way. So now I'm expensive with a cheap pitcher and a Dodger stack. So it's definitely possible to do it. You just have to be creative enough and move things around. When I'm hand building stacks, I'm almost never just jamming in the 5 most expensive hitters from a team anyways. So, but yeah, it's, I don't know. The general field wants to jam in name bats and then cheap pitchers, so just do something different.
Right.
Like I mentioned with Rojas and Rushing. Is it Kennedy's in the lineup maybe? Yeah, Buddy Kennedy's 3,100 playing third. It's not very good, but he's still in course. Alex Call. He's 4,100, so it's not like he's cheap, but he's a way to be different and save money off of Pajes or Teoscar in a Dodger stack. So there are ways. You just have to be willing to downgrade. So rather than downgrade pitching, downgrade a bat.
And there's nothing saying that you have to build 100, 200, 300 lineups either. If you want to play single entry tournaments, large or small field, if you want to play cash games, if you want to play whatever, you don't have to use the domination station to build every lineup you make either. If you have to get creative, you just have to get creative. And that's just part of the game. That's why you hear Razzle talk all the time about liking and adore certain players and bringing them into the mix and getting more exposure. It's because the raw projections aren't doing what he envisions the slate doing. And so he wants to make those changes and control those exposures and take advantage of places where the field might be leaning too much on their optimizer of choice or whatever. That's how you win. And I just posted a video in the comments. Geek is talking about contest selection. Very, 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 very important concept. And he redid it for 2025. That video should be watched by every single member of DFS Army, especially if you're struggling, like 85% of DFS players are struggling because they don't beat the game. In a lot of cases, they're putting too much money in wild contests that don't pay out, and they're just not winning them very often. And so you want to offset some of that budget with other play. We talk about that all the time. And if you're a beginner or a new guy, then you're going to use somebody like me or somebody like Dark Pasta or even Tattoo for the smaller field stuff, the cash game stuff, and whatever. And you're going to use Razzle's advice for the bigger MME stuff. Razzle likes to do the lottery tickets, and that's absolutely amazing. And Chattahoochee right now is just saying he just watched it last week and cashed a booster. And that's the biggest takeaway of that video. Spoiler alert. 10X and 40X boosters are a very, very good way to build that bankroll with at least a portion of your budget or whatever you're playing that night. The Prince, I don't know why LA is not on the DS on your end. I would just hit reset, not refresh, not reset. I'd hit refresh, see if they don't come back. They could have just been adjusting. Sometimes these teams fall out and fall back in. And number 2, Chattahoochee's asking this question probably to you, Razzle. Why is Atlanta tier 2 and Cincinnati tier 1 with the lower run total? Is it because of weather?
No, it's my ranking. My tiers aren't dictated by run total. I think that Cincinnati's just in a slightly better spot. It does help a little bit. They are on the road. It can be as simple as just being on the road compared to being at home. That extra at bat for a stack. But I like their bats against the opposing pitcher just slightly more than the Braves. The Braves have let us down quite a bit this season, so I'm not super pumped to be out there. Being heavy on them. But I will tell you that the debate did come down between Atlanta and Cincinnati for tier 1.
There you go.
So they are very similar.
So the Hoochie's on it.
It's just, like being on the road helped, and then also the opposing pitcher, I think, is weakest for Cincinnati. I'm actually using a little bit of Yohendrys Gomez of the White Sox against the Braves.
Yeah, I mean, he says they've let him down a lot, and I don't care if he's talking about Atlanta or Cincinnati. Both teams have let me down a lot this year. It doesn't mean you don't go back to them. You play the numbers, man. And if not enough people are on them based on their implied run total or their matchup against a pitcher or whatnot, you just play them. You close your eyes, you pinch your nose, you jump in the deep end. And because, again, especially going back to the contest selection stuff, I'll get there in a second. Pope, the way Razzle plays with a lot of the top-heavy GPPs and stuff, it only takes one to make your year. Like, you only need one good night. Maybe you need 2. But you just don't need to win that much. Now, if you can handle that variance, and Geek addresses it in the video, if you can handle that variance of going that long, knowing what you're getting yourself into, then fine. Play those tournaments. Nobody's telling you not to. But a lot of people can't handle that, and they quit, and they think they suck, and they whatever else. And then those type of people maybe have a mentality more like mine, where I need that little pat on the butt once in a while to tell me that I did a good job, that I built a good lineup. So I make my living off of, and I don't mean actual living, pay bills and stuff, but I mean, I make my living in DFS off of making sure that I get the frequent wins that are not as top heavy, because I can get by on less than perfect scores. I'm not waiting around every night for literally everything to come together, all of the planets to line up, and lightning to strike me twice when I walk out to get the mail. I'm really wanting a lot of margin for error. So you see me playing a lot of double ups, triple ups, 10, 20-man leagues. You see me playing those boosters, all that stuff, because that's where I make my hay. And that's really and truly, I hope, a benefit that you get towards me and Razzle doing the show a couple days a week, is you get 2 different perspectives as well. So Where was your last question, Pope? Where was your last question? Boy, that's way up there, isn't it? Only 6 lineups. Only 6 lineups on FanDuel. Should you only allow hitters 1 through 6 and fade Dodgers? No. I'm not going to be that restrictive. First of all, I want pieces of the Dodgers. The Dodgers are just right. And allowing only 1 through 6, I'll do that stuff in cash, but tonight I might not because they're so expensive in LA. I'll tinker with that in the background while Razzle adds whatever he wants to add to the conversation. You never max the bean, but I'm gonna before Razzle chimes in. Here's another thing: you guys don't have you almost should be maxing out those MMEs. You don't have to. I go back and forth mathematically. But you are giving away a small edge if you don't, especially if the thing is under 150 max, like if it's a 71 max or something like that. If the max entries allowed is more or is at 3% of the total number of entries, 150 in a 4,500 man contest, then if it's bigger than 4,500, you can think about maybe not maxing it out. But honestly, I don't play a lot of those contests unless I'm maxing them out because it is an advantage you're giving away. And I'll answer Harlock's question in a minute too. I'm going to let Razzle get what's on his mind off his mind if he's got something on there. You got stuff to add, I assume?
If you're doing 6 lineups, I think you can do one Dodgers lineup, match the field at 16% roughly. Dodgers might be a little higher owned than that, but you could also sprinkle in a couple Dodgers bats in your other one and then other ones as the one-off. And now you're over the field on Dodgers without overexposing yourself from a stacking standpoint. I think, is the beanball the one that's 25 max? I thought they had one called that was like 10 max before, but 25 max, $100. I probably would be maxing it if you can, but obviously that's a bankroll thing.
Would you play a different contest if you can't max it?
At 100? Maybe, but I feel like this is the first time I've looked at FanDuel in a while. I feel like some of the stuff might be full already, so I can't give a true breakdown. I play the $4.20, $4 or $3.20 max on DK all the time. I just include that in my runs of 3, 4, 500 lineups. I like that contest. So this particular 10K, 1K to first is pretty decent structure, right? 10% of the prize pool to first, and it's only a 25 max. I'm fine with that tournament itself. I like it more than the idea of maxing the nickel and the quarter.
Okay.
On FanDuel. Maxing that's $45, so I get it. You get 300 lineups, you get better shots, etc. But the field is so massive. That beanball is a tenth the size of the quarter. And it's a 20th of the size of the nickel. So, it kind of just depends on personal feelings. If you feel good about running 300 lineups, then by all means pay the $45 and play the 2 150 maxes. But I think for the long term, that 25 max sticks out to me because it's 5 more than what the DraftKings version of it is. So you get, the 5 more lineups, you get a slightly higher percentage of the field that way. You're roughly just under 1% of the field if you max it. So I don't know. I just hate FanDuel, so it's tough to answer a lot in FanDuel questions. But Yeah, I mean, that kind of contest sticks out to me. I swear the beanball used to be like a $2.22 on FanDuel. That was 10 max. And that's one I played a lot too. So like that's what popped into my head is like if you're making 6 lineups in it as the 10 max, you might as well just make the 10.
Right.
I mean, the only other thing you can do it if you're only making 6 lineups is play 3 in the $1 3 max, play a couple of the single entries. But the price pool is so much lower. The $1 single entry field is almost the same size as the beanball, but it's 1/10 the size in first place winnings. So the field's basically the same, but your return just isn't as good, from a raw dollar standpoint.
I would almost say you could even make just 1 or 2 lineups and play something a little bit higher dollar if you're wanting to do 6 lineups, whatever, take that same budget. But I mean, either way, it's 6 one way, half dozen the other. It's certainly not bashing on the contest stuff. But again, I mean, I would go look at contest structures, learn those, and that's a good. He's already doing that. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, in comparison, you could put 1 in the $33. That's 106 people, and it pays $1,000 to first, which is the same amount. You could put 8 in the $3 instead of 6 in the $4. Pays the same amount to first, and it's half the field. So like there are options to move around. But like I said, it comes personal preference.
Yep.
Those 2 that I mentioned just are a higher percentage of the money goes to first than that beanball.
Another question for you, because I would not tonight. Harlock's asking, would you limit the number of Dodgers in a cash lineup on FanDuel? The way I play cash games, I would not. If it gives me 4, it gives me 4. I want it because they're just right tonight. And I know it's boom or bust, and I know it's anti-cash. But you know what? When all that ownership is in Coors Field, it's okay. It's not going to kill you, most likely. Would you, not being a cash mind, would you limit those players and go kind of more by the book and not stacking cash, or would you let it do it tonight because LA is just that kind of, I know special is not the word, but just that maybe important?
I actually think you probably can stack in cash. LA, maybe not a 4-man, but 3-man. The reason I say that is because Teoscar's 3,600 and in an absolute great spot. Andy Pages is 3,600 and in a pretty great spot too. Like these guys aren't super expensive. Shohei is really the only one that's expensive. Freeman 3,900, you can pass on him. Bet 37. Like they're not jacked up the same way that DK jacks up Coors hitters. Because all those guys I mentioned are mid to upper 5Ks and Shohei's 7K on DK.
Right.
So
Shohei's more expensive than some of the pitchers.
He is. More expensive than some of the pitchers we are definitely using tonight.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily limit it. I would look at what it's also putting with it.
Well, and that's what I'm
if your other spots are bad, like then you just come off of 1 Dodger. You come off of Pages, you come off of Betts.
Right.
Will Smith not being in the lineup helps. Like Will Smith was in a great spot too. He's somebody that I would have wanted to use, but you don't just like. I see a lot of people that run things and then they don't like the secondary options, so they trash the entire thing. It doesn't mean that you have to trash your entire build or the concept behind your build. You just have to move pieces around. It's the puzzle piece part of this game that has kept me in it for, I don't know, 12 years, whatever it's been, 13, I don't know. You don't get to places by just trashing everything that your research tells you to, right? Just because you can't make something fit that appeases your eyes. Because unfortunately, like our eyes lie to us. Which is the unfortunate part is, our eyes along with biases just lie to us. And unless you're fully immersed and understand like every player that's playing in baseball, like there's just going to be guys you haven't heard of or don't know anything about. And when you see them show up in your lineups, you're like, I can't play them because I don't know anything about them. And then you just trash everything you just did.
I see two things, and this is on DraftKings instead of FanDuel. But this fourth lineup of the little just goofy default run that I like to do in DS is it's married to the top three hitters on DraftKings, which I think is interesting. That it's married to Ohtani, Betts, and Teoscar. And to do that, if you uncheck, say, 7, 8, 9, or 8 and 9, like we've talked about doing in the beginner room and stuff, just to make sure you're in the top of the orders and all that kind of stuff. It didn't use any 7-hole hitters really anyway, a couple here and there, like Jock Peterson, or it didn't really use a lot. So that's fine. It's not opting for that tonight for whatever reason. But it's picking up 6-hole hitters outside of the Dodgers because it's using the top of the order Dodgers guys that are so expensive. So my question to you, and some of these are on different teams, like on this first lineup looked okay with 1, 2, 3 and Ozuna and a little bit of Harris, whatever. Not a big fan of Iglesias in San Diego, but Gavin Lux isn't bad. As one-offs that are outside of that stack. Then you come down here and it picks up more 6-hole hitters like Simeon and Iglesias again and Ozuna, but and that's not a bad lineup either. But would you take, long way of asking this, but would you take those 3 Dodgers in even a cash type of lineup, drop them down, focus on your Pajes, focus on some of those other guys in the order to allow yourself to spend up and get out of the Marcus Simeons and the Jose Iglesiases, or would you leave it alone?
I mean, I think I lean towards leaving it alone, but I don't mind the idea of dropping one of those 3, so like a Betts. I guess Betts off the top of my head because I would rate the other 2 ahead of him overall.
Okay.
Just from a standpoint. Problem is like I really want to play Bobby Witt at shortstop, and he's actually more expensive than Betts. So like,
right, I get it.
You have to then drop down to like Ezekiel Tovar on the other side isn't terrible, and he's actually done really well against Yamamoto. But otherwise, you're dropping down in a cash setting to, I don't know, like everybody sub 4K just is not somebody I want in my lineup.
Right.
Iglesias, Ryan Ritter, Gabriel Arias. Arias might make sense at 2,700, but I don't absolutely love it. So really, you're spending up at shortstop on DK, I think. Which means like, is the cash fade Shohei Ohtani? Like it feels so dangerous to do.
It is dangerous.
But at that price point,
yeah,
does it allow you to raise your floor around multiple positions?
Well, if you fade Ohtani and Betts because Betts has been a little bit cooler or whatever, like I'm looking at this lineup right now, it's got Ohtani in it, Teoscar. They picked up Alex Call as 6th place hitter. I don't think I like that, but I mean,
I'd rather use Miguel Rojas if I'm,
I mean,
Dodger in my build.
The other one had Pajes in it, which is fine, but I don't see this particular lineup being any stronger than anything else that had Betts in it. So it's kind of like maybe it's overvaluing salary cap and stuff, and it's kind of messing with that. But like this one here, Teoscar and Pajes in it with Shohei, I mean, it's okay, but it's still using Gabriel Arias. I mean, Michael Harris, what's that about? So if I uncheck Shohei as well, and get down here to the Dodgers, that is a risky. Whew. I mean, it's risky and it's not, kind of like you mentioned, in terms not enough players hit the salary cap, so I got to loosen up the ownership number to get out of the chalk. Look at that. I guess Shohei is going to be so chalky. I just want to see what it does, so I may loosen this way up. just to get them in there and use some other chalky guys. Now it's only using 2 Dodgers, and it's picking up Baltimore. Ooh, wow. I guess it's forcing more ownership in there. I might, if that's the case, guys, if you're fading, if you're trying to eliminate some of the Dodgers to pick up others, you're automatically going a little bit lower owned. So that's one of those things where I might just not use the whole slider method on the optimizer. I might just build it the way I want to build it. Or if you're forcing all that ownership in there, you're just going to take what it gives you, kind of, like you mentioned before, where you might not make any changes. I don't know. Rojas has BBP, of course. Depends. Why are you still not getting Dodgers? Did you uncheck the game, or did you? Something's up, because you've got to be getting. I would think you've got to be getting Dodgers. Joey says Chicago probably won't play. Okay. Does that change stuff for you?
I was, even before he said it, I had just started removing those 2 teams from my DS. Uppers Lad pointed out that it was a little slower moving, but it also is arriving sooner than originally thought, which is a weird combination. Originally, they thought like later half of the second game tonight, but now apparently it's around. But then now that it's around, it's not moving overly well. So that's just worrisome.
Yep.
They obviously have this series is tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday as well. They were going to play 5 games in 4 days as it was. So they can move tonight's game into one of those next 3 days. So I'm just not going to deal with it. I originally had Milwaukee in my pool, but I'm just going to remove them from both sides and actually just remove them completely from pool as one-offs as well, and see what happens.
Can't say I blame you. I'm trying to help Prince out here I'm going to try and get this optimizer to shut down again with the slider method. See why he's losing Dodgers, because I got him on a 150 run, Prince, if you just noticed that. They were pulling in. So maybe it's something with salary or something going on, but it's just cutting them out. Like they're in there. They're in the player pool. It's not like they're not loading in DS. So if I go up 180 was the number. If I go as chalky as I can, and then run down here and see what it picks up. It should be picking up. There's Dodgers. I mean, Freeman, Betts, Teoscar, and 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's picking up. Well, you'd take Ian Happ out based on the weather report. Romy Gonzalez, Gavin Lux. This isn't a terrible lineup. It's using Nestor Cortez as the pitcher. I don't know why. There's got to be a setting or something, maybe, if I just popped it and got the top 4 Dodgers in the lineup. Razzle, do you know why he might not be getting them if he's doing basically what I'm doing here? Do you have any idea?
There's got to be something that selected.
That's my guess. I wouldn't know where to tell him to look. If he asked me to do a FanDuel run, and I did, and I had no problem getting them. So,
I mean, like the obvious, you just start at top. You make sure the Dodgers are highlighted at the very top of your screen, right? Like you didn't actually just uncheck them only. You know,
up here in the game by game stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, so start there, and then you
come down
kind of scroll to the next group. I would make sure you get rid of any salary cap or any fantasy point range. Like,
make sure all this stuff is defaulted down to nothing.
Yeah, just go back to the default.
All the way to the min, all the way to the max. I mean, spread it out. I mean, if you're not stacking, close the stacking window. If you are stacking, make sure that they're in there on the left side or the right side of your stacks. Because if you're at 0% on them, that could be something.
Go back to including everybody from the batting order. Like, just start over there, and then, like, everything should be fine.
And really and truly, you could refresh your screen, and you could reset the optimizer completely instead of just refreshing, you could literally reset it, start over. Because whatever it is, if you've clicked something and you can't find what it is, then you can reset that and go back to scratch, because it's working for me. So I don't know why it wouldn't be working for you.
Yeah, I just don't like to do the reset, because then it changes everything I've done within the player pool.
Yeah, if you're halfway into it and you've put in 30 minutes or more of tweaking into it, that sucks. That's the last resort. That's like pulling the ripcord on the emergency parachute before you hit the ground. But sometimes that's what you got to do.
You just have to go up to the optimization settings and basically get everything back to original.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I hope you can find it, because it should be working for you. There should be something going on that's easy to spot. As is, we probably ought to let people go and build some lineups. The Prince, we need to dive in. I need a tattoo, or you guys that are going to be around. I have to run out the door for a commitment tonight, but for you guys that are going to be around, we need to get some people in Discord to help him out. When you do a blind raw run in the DS, tattoo, what does that mean? Does that mean you didn't mess with the ownership slider at all? You just left it where it is? Because if that's the case, maybe they're not pulling in. But if you push the ownership slider on the left, maybe they are forcing them in, and maybe that's why I'm getting them and he's not. So I guess I can make one last attempt here and put this baby down to 0 and see if that doesn't do it. There it is. That's it, DePrince. Look at this. No Dodgers, no Dodgers, no Dodgers, no Dodgers. That's what it is. You're only getting Teoscar because you're not. I'm up here. Prince, I'm forcing chalk into my cash lineups. So I'm up here at 180. And that's the only change that I'm making aside from what you were saying. And watch. Now that I'm forcing minimum ownership into my lineup, it's picking up on this 20% owned, 29%, 34% owned. Whereas in the optimal, the computer and the projections are finding a better quote-unquote optimal lineup. The ownership slider is prioritizing pushing high-owned players into my lineup, and that's where it's going first, is it's forcing all of that. It's punting elsewhere, kind of, but it's forcing Dodgers in at that point. So that's why, honestly, that's why when I'm doing cash games, I don't do this for tournaments, but for cash games, that's why I do this. I use that left-hand side of the ownership cap, and I push chalk into my lineups to get me closer and closer to cash game builds. That's actually a really good example of why. And that's probably where it went. Yep. So you can boost them if you want to, but if you're using that slider because you're building cash, then that's what but if you're building tournaments, you have to boost them to get them to pull in, or put a minimum on their stack or something, make them 4x3s on FanDuel, and on the 4-man side or the 3-man side, force them in at a minimum, and it will pick up on them for you. So hopefully that fixed the problem. Hopefully we got it going on. What's up, Max? We're just about ready to head out of here. Razzle, you good?
I am good.
Good. I'm glad we got the Prince figured out, and the rest of you guys take care. Have a good night. We'll see you all at the top of leaderboards. We'll see you back here tomorrow. I think it's me and Tattoo, since Darth has started taking students in classes again. So you guys, for me, for Razzle, for everybody in DFS Army, have a good one. We'll see you at the top of the leaderboards, and we'll see you tomorrow. Later.
You got it, too.
I got it, Matthew. That's my son.